Good morning, everyone. Today I will show you briefly what we do in Croatian meteorological and hydrological service in biometeorology field. So first, what we do regularly on a daily or weekly basis, twice a week, we issued biometeorological forecast. It is on Tuesday and for next 3 days, and then again on Friday for next 4 days. But of course, as the situation in atmosphere is changing every day, we update it if needed on a daily basis. Our biometeorological forecast is based on Brezovsky, but also on the references that were recent found some conclusions about how weather and atmosphere influence human health. So we use also European and Croatian references. On the right side of the panel, there is an example for 4 days of biometeorological forecast. We show it in a way of symbol. Smile is like a good forecast. Then we have like crying symbol, then when it can influence some people. And on the right side in a text, we are choosing the people to which weather can make some problems. What we have also, we have heat health wave warning system. That is something that I asked yesterday. Yes, we don't have action plans because it has to be approved in our parliament. But what we have is a protocol for issuing alarm. And in that protocol, Ministry of Health, Institute of Public Health, Croatian Meteorological and Hydrological Service, Red Cross, and many other institutions are involved. We developed the criteria for minimum and maximum temperature, like thresholds for 8 regions in Croatia. And when they are satisfied in forecast of those parameters for next 4 days, then the alarm is issued in our forecasting department. So in the research department, the criteria were developed, and that's according to research that was done by Zaninovic and Matsarakis. The data of mortality were used for that, and also temperatures. This heat wave forecast is operational since 2012, and it operates between May and September. Exactly date when we start is, of course, more reliable on monthly or seasonal forecasts. Because if it's May cold, then it doesn't have to sense to produce alarm with actually no alarm, everything green. Also during the winter, we have cold wave forecast, and it started a bit later, 5 years later, and it's operating from December to February. On our web page, we also have UV index forecast. This is based on DVD products. On the right column, we are showing the index for Europe, broader area, and on the left side is focused on Croatia. And what we also have, we have one older index, thermal comfort index forecast. It's according to Aladdin Products forecast, and it takes into account temperature, wind, and humidity. We can choose several places in Croatia to see how this index will behave in next 3 days, today and 2 days after. And what is new now, but is not public available, it's just still for our internal use. New thermal comfort index forecast is developed. As you can see, it's shown a special distribution of UTCI and also PET. So you can see a bit of difference between those two indices. And it is used also by Aladdin Forecast, because we implement new version of Aladdin in Met Service, and it has a package, so people developed and find how to represent those indices. Also, we can look the same as we have already on our webpage by location for 3 days in advance. So here we have a graph where we use where we show indices, heat, UTCI, PET in winter. You can also add wind chill index. But what is very useful, of course, you can switch off those indices, but also show mean radiant temperature, humidity, and wind, what is in a forecast for next 3 days. And in colored graphs, you can see the difference between now presented 3 indices. They are slightly different. That's normal because formulas are different, but the feature is actually telling you the same. All those warnings, let's say, are included in MeteoAlarm, that is European platform to warn about severe weather phenomena. And as you can see, we have warnings for today and tomorrow. Here is shown for tomorrow, and in the red line you can see we had the warnings for 2 weather phenomena. It was about the thunder and for high temperatures. Green is no warnings, but then in yellow we have yellow warnings, and it's also issued for several regions in Croatia. But then you can go into details and to see that both symbols are just for northern part of Adriatic, for the Rijeka region. Yeah, and then you can also see what does it mean that there will be risk more higher than 50% for lighting on that region, and that the warnings about high temperature will concern minimum temperature. So the maximum temperature will not influence the risk on health, but just on that day it will concern the minimum temperature. So all those indices that I presented till now are mainly daily or weekly, and they are like forecasting. But what we do when the month is finished, then we analyze biometeorological conditions for 5 locations in Croatia by using PET, and we publish it in our monthly bulletin. Many other parameters are analyzing there in concerning climatology. So this is just example how we analyze PET or biometeorological conditions. So we are analyzing the changes during the day in 3 climatological terms, each day of the month, but also by decades and then on monthly basis. So this is just described how in text is described the figure. And what is possible to provide if someone is interested, stakeholders or some users, we can provide climate and bioclimate for specific place. Then we analyze some climatological conditions, but also the distribution and variation of PET or UTCI, or I don't know, the parameter that someone is interested in. This kind of material is very important for our tourism. For example, islands ask for this because they can show it to the tourists to plan the vacation. And last year's there is also a need to make some part of these graphs by using projections to see how it will change in the future. So what is also possible, we have some guidance that was defined and signed by Ministry of Health. and it defines some parameters that define that some location is good for a health place. For example, for asthmatic diseases or cardiovascular diseases. So it is the rule signed by Ministry of Law, and here is, of course, in Croatian. But what we do as a basis, we analyze Köppen classification of climate, temperature characteristic, precipitation, numbers of days higher than of some thresholds, then some humidity or days with the fog, bioclimatic characteristic, and upon that results, stakeholders will define if some place is suitable for health to take recovering from some diseases. We also calculate the climate index for tourism. Croatia is, of course, very famous for 3S tourism: sea, sand, and help me. 3S, sun, of course, sun. But as we all know that with the climate change, staying at the Adriatic during summer, it's usually July and August, it will be too hot, so we will have to adapt. We will have to promote also other kind of indices for tourism. So we did some analysis for the past, let's say for the climate, but we also do the same for the future. And now one example of research, this is the heat waves according to the risk we are producing. So green is no risk, yellow is moderate, orange is high, and the red is very high risk for health because of high temperatures. And the bottom is 1991, up is 2020. You can see that how we approach nowadays, the number of red alarms is increasing. So this is upon the measured data, but we also wanted to see what will happen in the future. Therefore, we used a small ensemble just to see how it behaves in the present climate. We can see that number of red alarms is much less than in the reality. But if we look just graphically, I have here mistake. It's between 2021 to 2050. It's 30-year periods. So you can see that in the future, number of red alarms, it depends on of course, model that we are using, but it's increased according to the present. If we moved further between 2031 to 2060, the number of red is even higher, and in the middle of the 21st century is the highest. Those are just preliminary results. What we know that there is no perfect model, and model has to be bias corrected by measured data, and more analysis has to be done to have some conclusions. But of course, figures tell us a lot. And about the projects, now we are involved in Autopollen program. We also were involved in the first phase, but we continue now. And this year, we started, we are one of the partner in evidence-informed policy approaches for One Health. It is led by Croatian Institute of Public Health and WHO. DHMZ is also providing information for climate health portal we heard yesterday. So if you are interested more in our publication or results, you can search the page. And I here put just recent publications, not that were done before, but mainly research in last 5 to 10 years is according to heat. But we also had some collaboration with medical a multidisciplinary team where we try to see how weather influence childbirth, and also how it influences epileptic seizure. We also have some publication regarding the tourism, how it will change in the future. So if you are interested, you can look at those publications. And that's not the end, additional, we are focusing here mainly on health, human health. But as we heard yesterday, of course, agriculture can influence through the food, also human health. So what we have in our service, we are performing agroclimatic forecast and index for risk from fire. That's especially important during the summer, because on the coast, because of specific wind, Bora wind, sometimes is really very hard to prevent fire. Weekly and monthly, we also have agroclimatic part in a bulletin. We produced agroclimatic atlas that is free, available on our web page. And at the end, we have a lot of requests from media. So we try to communicate, to explain what is happening, why it's happening regarding the health. Yeah, and now I will finish. Thank you.